friends, I would invite you to settle in. Just find that comfortable position for your body in that comfortable spot where you have settled in here for these few minutes. And as you allow your gaze to soften or you allow your eyes to close, whichever feels right, let's just take these first few breaths as a way to really separate from the moments that have already passed. Notice how this inhale is coming right here and right now. And then use that exhale as a way to release this moment. And then as the next inhale comes, embracing it here and now. And then again, as you exhale, just detaching, letting it go. And for these next few breaths, just really give yourself again a chance to separate from all the moments that have already happened. The ones that led right up to our time together, the ones that were much earlier today, the ones that were wonderful, the ones that were trying. Breathe here in this present moment and just let the others go. And as we settle in collectively as well as individually, just a reminder that our meditation practice is that. It is a practice. And some days the mind and the senses and all the things around us, everything just cooperates. And we have this beautiful, quiet experience internally. Some days there's noises around us that we just can't seem to pull ourselves away from. There's noises in our head that we just can't seem to quiet. But both ends of that continuum are part of the practice. And so I would invite you to embrace them all. Be fully aware of how you've arrived and then how you are each moment from this moment forward. Just notice. Just cultivate that beautiful awareness as a part of your practice. We are on this journey through the 5 elements. In Sanskrit, we call that Panchamahabhutas, the 5 elements. The elements that exist around us within this big universe, the cosmos, and the elements that are the same that exist within us. We've sat and we've felt the solidity of earth, the grounding, the rooting, the safety of it. We've explored the movement, the creativity of water. And today we have arrived at the element of TEJAS, fire. There's so many ways to approach this element, and I can tell you as someone who that's one of the primary elements of my physical, emotional personality makeup, I'm very familiar with the element of fire. Fire has so many qualities. And just like most things in our life and in our world, those same qualities that can be a blessing, something for which we're grateful. When those qualities become a little too much, they can be harmful, not so much a blessing. And so I really want us, as we explore these 5 elements through our times together, to seek balance. When we sat with Prithvi, this element of earth, the idea is we need to feel grounded, we need to feel safe and rooted and secured, but we can't get stuck. We can't let that security of where we are seated here keep us from moving. We need the element of water, the element of flexibility, of flow, of movement. But we also, in the element of water, have to learn when it's time to be still. And so each of these elements has something to remind us of, something to teach us, something to offer. And the same is true with fire, TEJAS. We often associate the element of fire with that sensation you get right there at your solar plexus area where your core is, where you feel this strength, where you feel this determination within yourself. That is TEJAS, fire. But I'd like to explore the element of fire a little differently in these minutes that we have. I often use this example because I think it is so real and so grounded in the investment that we make each time we show up in meditation, each time we show up on the yoga mat, each time we engage in spiritual texts, whatever those practices are. They're all part of this investment in our growth and our development. And so as you are seated, I want to just take you on just a journey through our mind's eye. And just imagine that you're just driving down the highway. And on either side of you, you just see field after field after field. I don't know where you are, maybe somewhere in one of those middle states where things are kind of flat and there's just farmland as far as the eye can see. Crop after crop after crop. So just see it. Each time you look out one side window, fields full with vegetation. And then all of a sudden, as you're driving, you just glance over and you notice that the field that you see has been scorched and burned. There's no vegetation. There's nothing green growing. There's nothing there. It's just flat, ashy, and dark. And at first glance, after seeing all these beautiful fields of green and growth, your heart maybe catches for a second and you think, oh, how tragic. How terrible it must be for the farmer that owns that field to have lost his crop, to have lost part of his livelihood, his chance to provide nourishment to others. But what you may not realize is what you're seeing is an example of TEJAS, the element of fire as an investment in growth and development. Because the farmers are much smarter than we are, and they know that they can't keep planting the same thing in the field year after year, again and again, and expect to keep getting a good harvest. There's things they have to do to cultivate the soil, to nurture the land. And sometimes they realize that what they've done to the land has depleted it from all of the nutrients. And there's no harvest. Not a harvest that's worth very much. And so they decide to make the investment through the element of fire to start anew. They set fire to that field. They allow the ash to begin to do what it needs to do. And underneath, new soil begins to develop. From what we would see as destruction comes growth. And that investment that that farmer makes to let that field just kind of be fallow for a season produces a harvest the next year and the year after that that he could not even imagine. We are that field. And for many of us, we keep doing the same things again and again and again. And maybe at one point in our life, these things worked. But we've grown. We've learned things. Our wisdom has deepened. And so the things that we engage in, the practices, the things we do to nurture our land, ourselves, it's got to shift as well. As we grow, we need new tools. We need new things to experience so that we continue to produce a harvest that is nourishing to our purpose, our dharma, our contribution to this world. But kind of like that farmer, as he sets the fire to the field, it is uncomfortable. We like the known. Even if the harvest is not good, the known gives us comfort. But this element of fire reminds us. It reminds us that it is not the element of destruction. It's the element of purification. There's so many examples in literature and mythology and real life that tell us about this element of fire. But what has to happen is we've got to be willing. We've got to be willing, like that farmer burns off the field, begins to bring new nutrients in. We've got to be willing to let go of the things that don't serve our path. It's not going to be the physical element of fire, but sometimes it might feel like it. But are you willing to grow? Are you willing to keep expanding and growing and learning, cultivating awareness? And I think just you're showing up to meditation, the answer to that question is yes. I know I have a contribution to this world. I may not know what it is just yet, but I know I've got something that the world needs, that it's my purpose, my existence, job to bring that. We have examples of these people all through history who've done great things. We don't read in the books and the stories about the regular people like you and me. But our stories are just as important. Are you willing to get a little uncomfortable for an investment in your growth? So I would invite us just to sit, not really thinking any thoughts or really asking any questions, but just sit and see what awareness you have of the field that needs to be set fire to in your life. The habits that need to go. The new habits that you're trying so hard to cultivate that need more nourishment and support. The relationships that are getting in your way of truly fulfilling this purpose that you have. There's so many things you can think about that could be on these lists, but the idea is we've all got a field that needs to have something different. This element of fire, this element of purification is our path there. And so let's just sit. Almost like you can feel the warmth of this fire just kind of enveloping you in a nurturing, supportive way, just like the element of earth. But the difference is, as it supports, it purifies as well. So let's just sit and just see, for each of us, what comes across your mind's eye. What do you notice? What are you aware of? And remember, breathing into this present moment, letting the other moments go, cultivating this awareness. And as we continue to sit and breathe in full awareness, take your mind's eye back to that highway through one of those middle states. Remember that field you saw out the window, scorched black. Imagine you're there the next season and you're driving. Same highway. And you look out that window and you see the most amazing harvest on that same field. Harvest that will provide nourishment to so many. All because of a farmer's investment in a little bit of uncomfortableness, a little bit of hard choices, knowing that he could trust the purification of fire to serve his purpose. His purpose is to nourish. His purpose is to provide resources for our families, for our dinner tables. And the only way his purpose can be fulfilled is if he's willing to do the work. So I'd ask you, and I ask me, what's your purpose? What is your unique and amazing contribution to this world? And I don't mean the world, the big 8 billion part of it. I mean the world that's yours. The corner that you inhabit every day. Don't try to think big. It might be scary and it might seem unattainable, but you'll start to realize that each of us has a corner. And if I'm serving my purpose in my corner, and you're serving it in yours, eventually we are impacting the 8 billion. And the harvest that comes from our life will be just like the one you saw that second time down that highway. So I invite us in these coming days to sit with the element of fire. In your quiet time, when you sit in nature, wherever you are, just be open to be aware of what is not serving your purpose. Almost imagining that you set it to the side, light the match, and let it go. TEJAS. We know too much is destructive, but we also know the right amount is a purifying force leading us to things that we cannot even imagine. Namaste.